What is going on, SoFi fans? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. So we are locked and loaded and ready for the Q2 earnings. So I'm going to give you a good summary of everything that you need to know as far as leading into the earnings, as far as what the data points are saying, fundamentals, and also what potentially just came out as far as leaked documents. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So based on Friday, it did go up 5.06%. A lot of good momentum being had behind the scenes. So 960 was the high, a lot of volume, and that's kind of abnormal for a Friday. So 58 million shares being traded, 41 is the average. And of course, there's a lot of things that's been floating around. Unfortunately, nothing actually from SoFi itself, so no SEC filings, no press releases, but these documents have kind of found its way out into the general public. And of course, based on what everything SoFi is saying, that these might be potentially leaked documents for the Q2 earnings. And it does signal home run earnings, actually probably better than that. So it says total deposits is now 13.2 billion versus the 10 billion in Q1, meaning a growth of 3.2 billion. That is huge. And of course, with that amount of deposits, it's fair to assume that the members went up equally as much, because of course within Q2 they raised the APOI I believe 2 times, so of course that's incentivizing members to continue to go and join SoFi. But beside the point, this is very good. And moving on, it does say Q2 net interest income at 431 million versus 201 million in Q1. Q2 non-interest income at 301 million versus 136 million in Q1. So this is, like I said, better than home run earnings. This is perfect, what everyone wanted to see. And so I don't think SoFi could really do or say anything from their earnings, their future guidance aspect, that would deter from these numbers speaking volumes. So once again, I do feel that this is going to be very good for individuals, just not necessarily for bears. So I saw this post, I kind of found this funny, and I like to cover it, but I never say that SoFi is going to be a squeeze. But if these are actually correct, these numbers, it could potentially squeeze. And I'm going to give you a good overview of what I mean by that, especially considering compared to a lot of the other banking sector stocks, SoFi has a pretty high short interest. So short score is currently 58, utilization is 27.63%. And looking right here, shorts did actually return 503,000 shares, but 15.01% of the free float is being shorted. And in comparison, that is very high for what SoFi is doing. So shorts are playing a very dangerous game right now. 119.64 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 0.74%. And so this is why I've said in the past, with the utilization not at 100%, cost to borrow being very, very low, I've never really said that SoFi is going to be a squeeze. But like I said, if these numbers are actually remotely accurate, then that means all the fundamental basis of pretty much their whole earnings is going to be very good, and that will prompt a lot more analyst ratings, and in turn, or even before that, maybe a short squeeze. Even potentially for it to go back down to the normal range, which it was kind of fluctuating in, around 10%. So definitely that could result in a fairly good amount of kind of an upside for SoFi. And based on this, people do anticipate and continue to anticipate SoFi to trend up. So $18 million in calls being purchased on Friday versus 8.53 million in puts. So 68% bullish overall. So like I said, a lot of people anticipate it to go up and continue to do that as far as going into next week. So as you can see, there's a lot of volatility, but people do anticipate based on the options, and this only shows only the calls, but for August the 4th expiry, which will encumber their earnings, it's all over the place. But mostly it's looking like people are anticipating anywhere from $9.50 to $12. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Do you think that it's going to go to $12 after their earnings, or do you think it's going to go higher? What's your take on that? Typically, when it comes down to SoFi, their earnings are just next level volatility. So there's a lot of different things. Typically, there's a very big spike up, kind of retraces back down. It's all over the place, but I do feel that anywhere around $11 or $10.50 to $11 is realistic. But keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. But based on Friday, a lot of big money has been buying. So these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market, a lot of which, oddly enough, was well over the ask. So people desperately wanted to get in. So there was a lot of transactions, and similarly, there was a lot of transactions on the dark pool. Dark pool, like I already showed you, is linked to shorting. So again, take that with a grain of salt. But like I said, based on the actual analyst, there was some updates for that. So for Q2, it looks like there was previously 14 estimates done by analysts with a consensus of -6 cents per share for the earnings per share component. There is now 15. So one analyst recently just jumped on board since my last update, and that is no different. So -6 cents per share. But when it comes down to SoFi, they always exceed the analyst expectations. And revenue. So when it comes down to revenue right down here, there is currently 11 analysts with a consensus of 476, or sorry, there was 476.2 million, now is 478.78 million as far as consensus, and 11 analysts. So it looks like one just kind of readjusted it for a bullish viewpoint. So again, that's definitely a fairly good thing in my opinion. So definitely something to consider. And also on a side note, when it comes down to revenue, as you can tell, SoFi always exceeds analyst expectations on that. So this is why I've said in the past, I have no idea why SoFi has been fluctuating or even got anywhere close to that $5 range, because their earnings on all fronts are very, very good. So I have no idea why analysts seem to always hate it so much, but still, let me know your viewpoint on that. And like I said, after the Q2 earnings, I do feel that there is going to be a lot more analyst ratings that is going to be bullish. Last being yesterday, it looks like JP Morgan, they didn't give a price target, but only a 46% rating. They did give a hold kind of position. So once again, I do feel that even a lot of these numbers are very, very conservative, and it can definitely go up significantly, a lot more than what it has been. So once again, let me know your viewpoint on this upcoming Q2 earnings. Do you think that these are true leaked documents? And I don't think this would be the first time, right? I think it was in Q2 2022, they had the similar kind of situation happen where there was some accidental leakage of, I think, their earnings, or maybe that it was just put out there prematurely, if I remember correctly. I don't know, something like that. I think it was Q2 or Q1, one of those things. So let me know your viewpoint on that. As far as some additional data points, so looking at the momentum indicator, oddly enough, people were not necessarily getting in. So retail meaning. So they were maybe taking profits over the last couple of days. I'm not really sure. Stochastic is currently at 63, a little bit more of a bearish sentiment right now. So red line above the black, like I said, bearishness, but it is neutral at 63. So I think in general, there is a lot more room for SoFi to go up based on the technicals and also just options, all signaling that there is upside coming. But a lot of people want to know exactly how high. So based on some of the fib levels right now, 955, some things that you need to watch for is sitting right on this pivot point of 952. So that is a very strong support, 996, 1022, and 1066. And more on a kind of a larger scale, just quickly look at this one day right here. So looking here, $12. So $12 is a very, very strong kind of resistance point. 1062 is that very strong support on a kind of a zoomed out viewpoint on this. So I do feel that SoFi can easily get to, like I mentioned, between that $10.50 to $11 range. I don't think it'll have enough to get over this 12, my own opinion, but you never know what could come from their earnings, because they generally are all over the place, but in a very positive way. So let me know your viewpoint. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And take advantage of this. I do have a 14-day free trial for Seeking Alpha Premium if you are looking for transcripts, earnings, dividends, everything under the sun. If you're looking for better research, take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. And with all that said, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a ton of money, especially based on the Q2 earnings with SoFi.